In this video I have something that I just got for novelty value, just as a bit of a old time thing I used to see a bit of, and it is a cassette player, actually a Hanimex brand, and this is one of the old sort of 70s era car cassette players, auto reverse stereo, volume, balance and tone, channel. I'm pretty sure I've seen this model before with that green light on it. Got a forward, back and probably stop eject button. Actually goes sideways like the long way. A lot of car cassettes go the other way. Where's the tape? This is a crossways one. And when I was growing up in the 80s and stuff, this sort of stuff was lying around everywhere, all getting sort of chucked out around that time. This is basically designed to screw under the dash or something. These are made in Japan. And usually an add-on besides your car radio or into the car radio or something. A lot of cars only had AM only radios back then as the factory standard, so you'd buy one of these as an aftermarket thing. They never seemed to sound very good, but maybe that was just the ones I saw. They seem to wear out pretty quick as well, like the idler tyres and bits and pieces. But this was like $6, so I thought, what the hell, I'm going to buy one, just have a look at one for old time's sake. I think I even used some of the, like these fake vinyl sort of coated metal boxes to build little projects into and stuff. And they were just fun things to play around with. I don't know if I ever really bothered fixing any. I think I did learn some early cassette repairs trying to get this sort of thing going. But I never sort of bothered getting new parts for them or anything. They were just a bit of a novelty to play around with. These and those little shoebox cassette players were pretty common to find lying around the place, or people were giving away. You'd find them on the roadside cleanup or curbside cleanups and stuff, and all over the place. This sort of old stuff chucked out in the bush and all sorts of stuff. People used to do silly things like that with them, so we used to grab them as kids and play around with them. And that's pretty much a standard sort of thing of that era. Yeah, that even looks kind of familiar. This funny little idler, was it 4 pulleys with a belt around them? Or it behaves as, I guess, an idler of some sort. It's got, yeah, little wheels underneath. Man, these, I have not seen these things, I haven't seen inside these things probably since the 80s. Wow, crazy old stuff. That's why I just really bought it for nostalgia reasons, if anything. A couple of little rollers there. And that pushes it back up. Twin pinch rollers, the old 4-track sort of style head with 2 stereo heads in it. Oops, something just dropped in. We've got a solenoid. Is that the direction change? Looks like a rather primitive sort of mechanism. 2 big brass bits there, a couple of pins come up through the cassette. I don't think I ejected that properly. They used to get all sorts of mechanical issues and stuff. What's it got? 73, so that's a pretty early cassette player, really. And I still haven't 100% proven when they really became commercial, but it looks like the late 60s, possibly around sort of 1968 is when the Japanese really got into cassette players. Philips originally showed it, I think, at some show. 1963 is when they sort of, the invention date, but not very good quality as far as hi-fi, the early ones. And yeah, these old transistors with the heat sinks, TO92, the old flat pack. Are they? Oh, they're not TO. I forget what they are. Kind of TO220s. There's something else with the metal fins. Yeah, this is really familiar old stuff that I barely got a memory of anymore. What's that say? Metro. Yeah, what company actually built this? But it's a Matsushita Electric. Made the motor 13.2 volts. That one's actually rated at. And who knows, it could still work, or it might be completely shot. I can't imagine anyone's used it in a long, long time. Interestingly, the belts have not gone gooey or anything, or at least the ones we can see. Yeah, heaps of I think they've got lots of idler tyres and stuff there. They're kind of a bad design, because there's a lot of rubber parts. There's ones on the reels. I can see more stuff under there. Looks like the capstan belt's still on it. So this would have been quite an expensive one, probably. I think that channel, you press that to... That's what triggers the solenoid. Yeah, there's a switch under there. Looks like it has a light. Yeah, slider pots. Can we easily get to this? I don't think so. then again, there's probably not much. I think the board, how does the board come loose? Oh, it's attached by the heatsink by that screw, and then the mech, there's loose screws in it, so that's not a good sign. And plastic front, might even hook it up. Now we've got to work out how to hook it up. So the next problem, we just got one of these weird old, it's not even a DIN connector. Not sure we even call these, similar to some of the earlier stereos, kind of from Valve era. And yeah, this insulating stuff they used to put on everything. Hitachi capacitors, and they're probably Matsushitas, those blue things. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Who made the semis in it? Matsushita output transistors. I can't even see a stamp on that one. And yeah, I can see how the Matsushita little TO92 transistors. So it could be, what does it say on there? Mitsumi on the switch, I think. Mitsumi Electric Co. That'll be the head switching for the direction change. You can see the head wires actually go into it. Look at all that hand wiring. That's why they didn't sell a lot of these, probably because they were super expensive, because someone had to wire all this up. A lot of wiring harness in it, controls all wired, no circuit board behind them, so early style construction technique, or relatively early I guess, compared to everything going on to circuit boards. We've got that's your noise suppressor there, and probably that filter cap as well. Positive will usually go through that little transformer. It's not even circuit board mounted itself, I don't think. So we might be able to work out a few things from that sort of thing. Capacitor's probably positive and negative. You can see this big track here, that'll be your earth, which also, no, it doesn't actually go to that screw, I thought it did, that's isolated. So we've got two stereo channels, possibly earth and power. We've got a grey wire, and that green wire will most likely be capacitively coupled outputs. And green and grey actually are kind of standard colours, so I'm guessing green and grey, they're diagonally opposite. Those a bit weird, but they're probably our audio outputs. And which red wire is? That's some sort of shielded cable there. Probably audio from the head switch or something. No, it wouldn't go in there, I don't think. Must be that red wire, I think. No, there's another red wire. It's soldered to the board. I think it's soldered to the same spot anyway. And to that. Whoops, I just broke that one off, I think. Well, that wasn't a good thing to do. I think that went to the red spot there. Although, if that's power, it shouldn't have a audio lead unless this shielded lead goes somewhere else. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. That just came off. So I think that black wire there, well, that's the earth of this shielded cable. So I know that's earth. I think that red wire there, I just can't work out what it actually... Oh, maybe that transformer is on the circuit board. Or is that the transformer there? Very hard to see what's what, because there's wires wrapped around everything. And the black, well, let's just see. There's probably a switch somewhere. Oh, that one. Is that our mech switch, or is that the solenoid? Oh, that's something to do with the solenoid, I think. I don't think anything's really sliding across. Something should happen here, though. Do we need the motor to go... What's that other spring there? That's a bit weird. Well, let's see if any of these pins are actually shorted to chassis. Let's see if any of these are connected. That one's connected to ground. Was that the black one by any chance? That's got some sort of... Yeah, the black wire is probably actually an earth connection, because they didn't normally just earth via the chassis. Yeah, the grey and green. Better make sure that is the same green wire. Yeah, it looks to be. Pretty sure that goes to that other 470 mic capacitor, and this one. So there would definitely be our speaker output. So the other one, I think we could safe to say the red wire is positive. Which one is it? It is this one up here, the oddball located one. So it goes to that point there. I think that's where this other wire came from. Where does that wire go? Yeah, who knows? Somewhere under all this wiring. Oh, we've got another leaf switch here. What on earth flicks that? Oh, is that part of the mechanism dropping in or something? We should have a power switch that. Let's go to our positive one, which is that one, is it? A switch that switches the motor. I'm surprised that's not connected to it. That's not connected to it. Oh, so much for that theory. Where's our wiring? Oh, that's the motor. That's what I think I just broke the wire off. Is that where that wire goes? We've got a shielded cable into the motor. I forgot they did that. And that's this other wire here is the motor. So that's the positive to the motor on the positive of that capacitor by the look of it. Is that connected or is that switched? Switched, I'm guessing. So it's quite likely this other cable did run across. Well, that's why we probably haven't got positive on it. Yeah, it goes to that switch. What's the bet I've disconnected the positive? That's why positive isn't connected to that switch. Am I actually connected? Ah, finally. Yeah, it's that leaf switch, so I've broken the positive that is switched, and that probably comes up this white wire. I think it goes to there. Yeah, which is possibly, yeah, motor positive. So that wire did come off where I think it did. I'm pretty sure it came off where that other red wire is, so that would be our main switch. Thought it was odd the main switch wasn't connected to positive. So we'll solder that back on after creating my first fault, and we'll see if any of this actually runs. And maybe we'll get to hear what it actually sounds like, which I'm not expecting much from it. Chances are this old motor isn't going to be the best anyway. That's assuming the belts are even any good or anything else. But my memory of these is, yeah, they didn't sound the best. But I think at one stage I actually had something like this on our ride-on lawnmower. And I was actually driving around, I think listening via headphones to one of these things hooked up to the battery in the ride-on mower. So I think I just strapped it on. It was just sitting on the deck or something, just had to watch it didn't fall off while you're driving around. Because I just hooked a couple of wires onto the battery, and I think I had headphones hooked up to use as a bit of ear protection as well. And that would have been in the late 80s. And that would have been about the last time I ever touched one of these things, I think. I mean, you just didn't really see them after that much anyway, unless you went looking for them. So I was kind of surprised to see this one turned up, and since it's a Hanimex, which is, like I say, an Australian brand, even though it's all sort of imported stuff really. Shame the knobs are missing off it, but I don't think that matters. Oh, this thing's actually popped out more now, has it? Or did the front panel go back a bit? That I don't think was sticking out like that before. Yeah, maybe the front. Oh yeah, the front panel is just loose. I think has someone taken a screw out of this or something. Yeah, the front panel's slipped. Not sure what's stopping it going back, but oh yeah, there we go. It's on one of the buttons or something. Yeah, that's better. That's how it should look. Well, that thing's sticking out a bit. I was actually screwing the top cover there. I don't know if that was even in there. That should have possibly hold. It's got a metal clip there, so that should hold it in place. Okay, let's hook 12 volts up. And I guess I should hook some speakers. Well, they're capacitively coupled, so we don't have to worry about blowing any speakers up or anything. So I'm going to hook two negatives together and turn to the power negative. If I get these wires to stay in the connector, kind of tempted to unscrew it actually, and a bit odd putting them diagonally opposite, but I guess they're in a straight line if you look at this connector a bit differently. Those two across on the power in the other plane sort of thing, because that pin's kind of the polarizing one because it's in a different position. Now which one's earth? It is that bottom one there. Is it actually connected to chassis? I guess it's the next thing. It usually is. Did I already check it? I think I already checked it was connected. Yeah, so we can just clip our speaker negatives and power. There you go, there was something in those caps. And give us 12, 13 volts. Can I clip onto that pin without shorting on anything? We sure can. Nothing happening, but it won't until that switch is pressed. Dare we put a cassette in there? Probably shouldn't, but... Oh, a lot of volume, and it's trying to auto reverse. Those reels haven't come up properly by the look of it. So the head seems to be in place. Maybe they don't come up any more than that. Oh, we got some. Doesn't sound the best. And that reel's running on, so we're getting a whole loop up of tape there. But I think it's basically working amazingly. Can we change direction? No. Well, that's not too bad then. I'm not sure. That switch, yeah, that switch is. There you go. Even got a green arrow there. Oh, and it did come out. So yeah, that very dodgy head switch needs a good squirt of contact cleaner. And I think that volume was a bit dodgy as well. Probably the balance, everything. So let's give them all clean. But yeah, I'm surprised it didn't chew a tape or anything, so that's a good start. The reels don't stick up an awful long way. So it actually plays fairly well. Quite loud too, so it's had a decent amp in it. Oh, even changed direction. Fair bit of background noise there. I think if we just load it in, yeah, certainly not the quietest of things. This crazy thing, but yeah, that does run the reels. Belt's got a bit of a lump in it, but something does. It has a wobble, but yeah, wow, this thing actually works. Though it's having a little bit of trouble changing direction. Works when it wants to. As it's related to this bit, I can manually do it by changing the switch over. Yeah, quite a bit. There's more noise on that sound side. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah. That's weird. I'll now do it on its own. And that's it. I think it goes one way and not the other. Once it goes one way, it gets stuck. Yeah, weird. There's more sound. One of the speakers has more sound That one. Oh, look at this. She's missing a beat a bit. And that was the big issue with most of these so many idlers in them that would wear out. I've made it try to change. It's as it should work when it gets to the end. It tries. Yeah, not capable. Something needs lubing somewhere probably. It seems to be in this mech here. This little pivoty bit. It's probably just something has to release here to let it. Oh, have I got that off of there, that little pin. It actually jumped off, so that's the mechanism that changes. Bit of a weird hash sound as that switch comes across if you don't do it quick enough. I've actually got little incandescent lamps there. You can see the light, little green arrow changeover. So that switch that does the heads is also likely switching those lights. So that'll probably look pretty snazzy back in the 70s. So what is this other? Oh, that's the head part that moves on that big spring. And this is what flicks it, so why doesn't that pushes it, and then it should, oh, it's one of these pivoting mechs that goes one way and then it should come back the other way on the second click type of thing. I think that's how it worked. A bit like a pause mechanism or something. So you press it one way. Oops, we've popped that little bit jumps off the little brass piece there. So that's what's faulty or sticky or something. So that bit flicks nicely. That's actually, I think someone might have lubed this because it's a lot wetter than it should be. Someone's butchered that head of that screw. Though I haven't cracked the lacquer, so I wonder if someone's tried to undo that screw and couldn't manage it. So it's this piece here, and there is some greasy looking stuff there. Here, even the solenoid doesn't flick nicely. So I wonder if that's the pivot point there. So they probably lubed everything but what they should have lubed. I think that bracket, those two screws take a bracket that takes this off maybe, or is that, yeah, I think that takes a whole solenoid. Well, I think if we'd maybe lubed that bit for a start, I'm guessing that is sticky grease right in there. There's definitely something on there. The problem is, can we get under that? Might just have to put a little bit of oil or something in there for the moment. Is that already better? Still not sure that it's changing the way it should. Yeah, I think that's better at coming back. Because now he's having this stiff, that solenoid should sort of spring back. Maybe not instantly because it's pushing all this other stuff, but yeah, that bit we can at least do independently, and it goes twang, clicks back, so that bit's fine. It's this, probably this joint here as well. That pivot point, could even be muck on the plunger itself, causing it to stick a bit in the solenoid. And whatever's under all here, I don't really fancy taking all that apart, but how else do you do it? That's why someone's tried to take that off, is does that take the head off? There's another bolt through here, and that I think takes the whole head bracket off. Is that some sort of azimuth or something, tilt adjustment? God knows what that does. Yeah, there's a bit, I think someone's tried to lube under here too. So these bits around here are the issue. So we must have a pivot. Oh, that pivot's on this. Oh, it pivots on this post that the head's sitting on. So maybe we do need to pull that apart. Because that's bound to be involved in not wanting to. There's probably more likely this part where the switch is and it doesn't want to move. This bit should trigger it. So there it goes that way. But it does not come back, probably because it's not moving or springing back or something the way it should to pulls that way, but when we go, once it's in that position, it should spring back the other way as well. It's a little hook thing there. Is that meant to, or is something moved? Have we lost a pin? Well, we don't have much to lose, I guess. Let's get the, oh, we've got power turned off. Maybe bend that bit up a little bit so we can get these wires out. Yes, there's a little nut there. But that is the pivot point. And then they've bolted the head on top of our little mechanism that's meant to latch one way and then the other. There's another washer under there. Quite the stack of them. And getting them out of there is a whole other thing. Come on. Up you come. There we go. So a sprung washer and just a normal washer. Now if we can, we may have to do our attack with the side cutters trick to try and get that loose. Oh, that's fine. So maybe someone did get it out at some stage. Oh, it looks like this whole switch comes with it, and we've got a loose washer. So maybe it just looked like it had gone back perfectly, but someone must have lined all the stuff up. Oh, I've got this copper bit. How do we get that out of there? Oh yeah, we can just lift it off the little pin it goes on. Yeah, this has been sprayed with something. The good old try and fix it with CRC effort before you chuck it away. Though I doubt that happened any time recently, so chucking it away took a while. So there's our pivot that this little bit's on. Only problem is we've got two pinch rollers in the way. They're going to have to come off by the look of it. Not exactly sure why I'm trying to fix this thing, but let's have a look at an interesting little mech, I guess. Do these just lift up? Oh, there's a spring on them, of course. That's going to be the fun bit, getting that. That just sits behind the metal. That just sits behind the piece of metal. We're just going to have to be careful when we lift it off. Firstly, not to lose it. Let's grab a hold of that. And secondly, to remember where the hell it went. Or do we need to loosen this off to get... Oh, do these have... What's the bit they've got a second circlip or something? Maybe not. Oh, that one's coming. Oh, it's this other piece here is getting a bit caught. Oh, so we'll have to do the other one first. That'll be right. I think it's just tight. Let's pull this head thing back. That does not want to lift. Why don't you want to lift? Sometimes I have a second circlip, but this doesn't seem to. Can we prise it from below? Was it just a spring's holding? Yeah, here we go. Get that spring loose. It's just tight. Possibly is partly to do with the spring. Is there some sort of corrosion or something on there? Something's not good on that shaft. It's got lacquer on it or something, or corrosion maybe. Let's scrape the spring up and down a bit and try and scrape off there's something green on there. just have to push that a bit. Yeah, oh yeah, it's corrosion, really corroded. So it's actually a piece of brass, and that's had a bit of water or something on it at some point. We've just got to scrape it off with the pinch roller basically. Look, there goes. I was going to say don't lose the spring, but it fell out anyway. Looks like it's, well, it is, I think the bent leg of it went, so one leg must go in behind that bit, and then you'd rotate this other leg right around. No, you don't. You bend it back this way. That one's out of the way. We should be able to lift this. Yeah, the bent leg is the bottom one that goes against this metal chassis thing. At least this one, whoop, it's still shot out. They just can't help themselves. That one came off easy. Now we can see the little bit we want, which is this piece. I'm guessing maybe that needs a lube. What do we got? A piece of wire or spring going through this other one. We've got this. They weren't much fun to work on from memory, especially because they're all different to every other one. So I think maybe you've got to take this bit with it. So that's on this bracket thing. Yeah, these sort of funny little pieces look somewhat familiar. I would have pulled a few apart, though not put them back together most likely. We need to save this little piece from shooting off anywhere. That was coming loose before, off this brass bit. And now it doesn't want to do it. Oh, there we go. It's just, I think you get it off to one side. Whoops, and I dropped it as it forced its way out. I think we have to take the bottom off that, so there's a spring and a little, there it is, a little brass bit. Quite amazing to think they had brass in these things. So that's a little pin. Because I don't think we can unclip that anyway. Can we? Oh, we can just lift it enough, I think, to slide it out. So there's a little spring that went around the same post. Now, is that just fixed in place? Oh, that's a bent up piece of the bracket. See, there's two little pins there. That's your mechanism, I think. Oh, there's, yeah, see, two little, I could see one of these hooks. That's our pivot mech. And we've got a bit of lacquer in there now. Get that out of there somewhere. Chuck it away. Is this a bit stiff? We know this bit's loose. Yeah, that solenoid is decidedly slow at returning. It's got a spring on the solenoid plunger, so it should push instantly back. But I don't think it's down this end where the problem is, because lifting that up doesn't speed it up. And since we've already got corrosion over here, that's going to be something to do with it. It's this piece under here, I think. Little brass piece under this switch. And it's not like we care about getting this going for someone. It's just for the hell of it. So it doesn't have to be the world's best repair. I'll get some oil on these two pivot points. That should help start loosening stuff up. Yeah, well, that already is going back quicker. And it wants a little bit of grease on the plate where that pivot point is, where I cleaned a bit of dried up grease or something. Just in between those two bits. I'm guessing that was the worst. Oh yeah, now we're still seems a little slow. Put some there and some on this other side of it. Doesn't really if I make a bit of mess in this thing, I guess. So that has got that back. What have we got under here? There's some greasy, yeah, someone's, like I say, put CRC or something on. That's quite sticky. I don't think that's actually related to the current problem, but then again, does this little spring have something to do with it? That's just the idler. If that doesn't move well though, could be something to do with it. Oh, here we go, we can actually slide this right back as well. Someone has loosened that up a bit with a bit of RP7 or whatever. That's just more to do with the head, this bit that going back and forwards, I think. But that little spring, which does the idler, should probably have some grease. I don't really like the feel of the way that moves, but I think it's made because that's just scraping. So let's put some lube on that. So I don't have metal on metal there. Still sounds a little bit harsh, but now where do I put that bit? So this, what I want to do is lube it on that shaft there. That feels quite, is that because part of it's threaded? Feels a bit harsh. Don't know if I should put that much grease on there, but I don't think it'll hurt either. Yeah, so 2 pins. That bit there kind of looks worn, but is it just a bit of dirt on it? Almost looks like that pivot point is worn out a bit, but it's different shape to the other one. That spring goes through there. Oh, where'd it go through? That hole, I guess. And then we had to slide it into this other hole as we come back down. Uh-oh, what the hell made that noise? It sounded like something just fell out. Gotta make that spring so it's located where the post comes up and goes, it goes, as the post come up through it, well, I guess one thing I should really do is we should probably lube those little pins. Don't know if they really had anything on them, but to stop wear, that would probably not be a bad idea. Now, where's my post gone? I think the spring's on it, is it? Yep. Oh, and then this presses down so that bit. So as I should go click, click from one position to the other. We're missing that other bit at the moment, but so that pushes it that way. And if we put it that way, yeah, that hook goes that way. How does it go the other way though? Oh, this is meant to pull across. There you go, I can make it do it. So that goes back and pulls that side. Somehow it comes across. Has to come across to pull that side. So what makes it run across? I wonder if that spring's wrong or something. Did I put that on the wrong way? That should pull back. And that's the one thing I didn't take a lot of notice of, is exactly where that spring was. Because I suspect that spring might be cool, although we've got that other little piece. So I don't think that... maybe it is this thing, the little swinging bit. That we probably should put a bit of grease on the bit that... What does that... Yeah, that slots on there. Where did the spring go? I've completely forgotten now. And part of it goes in there. Was the spring jammed right in there? Yeah, it must have been. That was it. Yeah, that's because of why it shot out when I pulled it off. And I risked firing this thing across the room, and I'm kind of squashing the spring, which isn't great. How do we do these things? We can hold that spring a bit while we slot the little brass piece onto the little groove on that post, and then we've got to pivot it onto this other bit, and it's not quite there yet. There we go. And we get nothing. How predictable. So that's got to come across. That's just the pivot, I guess. So that's not the bit that makes this come across. It shoots back that way. That's this spring here. Something's meant to make it come back. And it should be an automatic feature of this spring to do both of them. Oh, wait up. See, if I push it right back, is that the key? Yeah, that's all it is. It's just, oh, you got to make this solenoid come right out. See, if I push that out, it'll then pivot the other way. Push, push, push. So that's our key. So it's the spring. It's the actual. Yeah, it is critical to this mechanism here. That doesn't go back far enough on its own volition from this spring on the solenoid. Problem is these pivot points, I think, are set, as in riveted in place. One thing I could have done is put some oil sideways there to get between those two bits. Yeah, I've got to actually push it. There it goes, it finally hooked it. Yeah, the spring really has to push it to the full extent. So that spring lost some power. It's not a very strong spring. Interesting. Well, at least we know how the mechanism works, and I've lubed all this bit up so we know there's nothing wrong with that. But without being able to see it, you really don't have much hope. So do we need to clean, and someone's already had a go at that. I don't think it's a issue at this end. Probably would need to put a little bit more grease there though. I still can't help thinking that spring, although I don't think it's got anything to do with it. Oh, I see, yeah, so this, when it comes back, there's a little piece here and a little diagonal piece. That's what pushes it out. As it slides down the diagonal, that comes to this side enough. I think we might have to take the solenoid out. Yeah, so this is just stopping at the beginning of that sliding bit, whereas if it slides back a bit more, you'd think I'd have that loose now, but there's plenty of oil in there. Or the other option is maybe we've got a little bit of plain something here that shouldn't be there. It's always the question is, where is the friction, or is something slightly bent, or is something in fact that's slightly worn? I'm kind of tempted to just bend this lever a little bit towards the solenoid, because the solenoid groove, I'm possibly flipping the plunger around, it might have worn into that a bit, or that's worn this bit of metal. So that pivot point here could be our issue. So that's separate. I think they join together somehow. How do you get that pin out of there? Or is it a screw? I don't know what they've done. Only problem is if we lift all this, we need to take that bit off again, which I guess is not that hard to do. I think these two screws lift the whole solenoid assembly. Yeah, it's coming up. Oh, it's coming up. Oh, what's it doing? Something's pushing up. The problem is that switch underneath there is staying in place. Got a switch here. Oh, that's coming up. What on earth have we got here? Oh, so they've made that difficult. What is pushing up? There's a piece of metal going from under here right across on that spring, and that's what's forcing the solenoid up, I think. Does that work any better in that position? The solenoid's not. Oh, interesting. What's happening here? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now it's not flicking either side, so... Oh, is that lifted up? Is that why? Ah, the pins are just lifted up, I think. So that's almost crashing into that screw, I think. So this whole piece... That's the other thing, this whole piece can sort of move... Ah, yeah, that's... So if that's moved sideways at all, don't think it has, it's pretty solid. And this is how you end up spending hours on some old cassette player that's not worth anything if you're not careful. I might have to disassemble a few things again. Now I know to hold that spring with some pliers. Should make it a bit better to do. Oh yeah, nice and easy when you know what you're doing. I want to lift this up again and take that little spring with it. So we need to lift this whole lever and solenoid, but we've got the complication of that switch, so we may have to take the bottom off this thing. What on earth have they done here? It's got the old plastic screw to hold the contacts together. What's more, what's this metal prong thing? And it's pivoted in place, I think, which would explain why it's lifting this up. Oh, hang on, that screw I started undoing's got to be, it's a great big long screw. Or maybe that's actually pushing, I don't know what they've done. But I think we're going to have to, oh, that was that metal bit. Where did that come from again? Oh, that was to do with the switch. I think that one, undoes the circuit board. At least part of it. Maybe there's another screw there. Probably won't hurt to have a look at the bottom of the mech anyway. In theory it needs the, not sure what these screws undo. Must be the mech though. Needs the belt probably replacing anyway. Does this sort of, oh, it does just pull off. Nice simple design. Look at that. See our two capstans on. It's just that switch I put there. I was going to say something's pressing on the belt, but that's that switch I flicked out. This thing here is the... Oh yeah, there's a spring. Just so I didn't go any further in case that nut came off. What on earth have they done here? So they've got a sprung... I'm not even sure what we're looking at. Oh, that's the bit that pushes the mech back up, is it? God, what a design. These things certainly were different. So how do I get this? Sprung switches. It's stuck to that metal thing by one little nut and insulated bit. There's a plastic screw. But regardless, we've got to get this bit out of the way. I think maybe that's all we have to get out of the way. I know they weren't much fun to work on, these things. Fairly complicated bit of mess, really. So can we just take that whole piece now? That's the capstan bracket. I think we might be able to just drop that all off now. If we take that long screw out with a nut on the end of it. But yeah, I don't think there's any... Whoops, I forgot there's a spring under there, isn't it? Oh, so that screw's kind of attached. What is going on here? Attached, threaded into two bits of different bits of metal, or maybe just on the chassis. Yeah, what a weird design. I think we can just wind that up, can we? Or do we have to? No, we do have to take it right out. And it's got a washer on this side. So that's quite a bit. And this spring's going to come loose by the look of it as well. We should be able to... Well, actually, I don't know that I need to do much more than that. I just need to get this bit kind of loose. There's a switch and pivot bit. Though, that's the pivot there. Yeah, we can't really... Well, this piece must come out... That's one thing I want to look at, is how do we get this pin out to... Try and get that plunger out or something. Does that rotate and come out? Is that actually wide? Oh, it's widened up the top here, I think, that piece. Yeah, so they've stamped it. So that doesn't come out. Only other thing I can think of is maybe put a little bit of lube on this end bit. So that's coming right to the hole there now, or can do. Yeah, putting a bit of oil on there, it does seem to have freed it a bit. It's coming, so this arm hits right against that screw hole. Yeah, maybe it was in this actual piece on the solenoid itself. Oh, well, let's maybe try and put this back together, see if we can get it to work again. Now this circuit board's a bit of pain. What have we done here? Oh, that's the screw there that holds that together. Maybe loosen that up a bit so it pivots. Oh, of course, it's got that spring pushing against it here across to the back of the solenoid, which does the head part. So I've got to get that over there. And we'll get that long screw back in. we doing with this? We've got to get that switch and stuff back in place first. Then we get the long screw in, and now that's stopping the long screw hole from lining up. Oh, there we are. Well, it was there. Now I can't get it to line up again. Oh, of course the screw head's there, so I was thinking I could get in right to the hole, but the actual screw head's going to stop it going that far, so that should be lubricated enough, I think, to hopefully do what we want. I guess we can put the other little screw back in there. Yeah, it should deflect off that. So that probably could do a little bit of lube on it as well. It needs to deflect each way. No, that's still not hitting on. Well, it hits the end here anyway, so it can't go any further. Oh, wait up, we've got to get that lifts up, I guess, does it? Oh no, that's in position. Yeah, that's not quite how I remember it. Yeah, before I was pushing it, this little bit here was hitting this sloping bit. But it's actually banging into this post before it even does that. So, not sure what's going on there. Let's maybe put all this back together. Oh, that was the bit that went up there. And I think this just had a spring and washer on here, basically. Which is the spring bit for that pivoting bit near the switch, which somehow has something to do with it. I'm not sure if it's just pushing the switch or it's ejecting the mech or something. But yeah, certainly crazy old design. I'm going to put this bit, that swings back, oh, the spring, that contact's got to go under there, and this bit pushes down on it, little mounting post thing, and as well as holding the capstan bracket on, which may have to come off again later to do the belt. And there's a second little fine belt to that real assembly by the look of it. Belt's certainly not the best. Two idlers, which, like I say, is one of the things that seem to fail on these a lot. So that's largely back together, I think. Don't know that we really need to lubricate that anymore. Oh, that's got to go down through that hole. Still wonder whether I got that spring in the wrong way. I could try putting it in the opposite way. If I can get it in that hole. Or was that the way I had it? Jeez, I've forgotten it. Oh, through that hole and down onto this post. Getting the spring around the post, which we have done. Get that on this little thing there. Yeah, no, it does seem to work now. Did I have that spring the other way around? Maybe I just need the spring so it sort of bends and comes around the back of the thing. I get a feeling I had it around the other way before, so that might have been part of the issue. But this, either way, we've lubed it up and it seems to want to work now. Just a little clever little direction changing twin pin mechanism. That at least swings back properly, much better than it was before. And we've got to put, oh, we haven't actually put that spring bit even on there yet, which we've got to put in. Let's make sure it works with that in place, I guess. Yeah. Get this spring to stay on it. We can't really force on there. All we can do is squeeze the spring up. That slots a little groove in there, like so. And just make sure we don't shoot this off anywhere. That's why I want to compress the spring, so that we can pull this back and get it around that little brass bit. I've got the spring in the wrong spot, I think. Somehow it's escaped and gone up the groove. You little... But yeah, I'm glad most people chuck these things out rather than wanted them fixed, because they're a bit of a mess to work on. But I guess like anything, if you did enough of them, you get the hang of it. So that belt looks like it just, oh no, it goes actually under one of these things, does it? My God. I thought it just went round the outside of the triangle, but it actually goes round that central one. And we've got little plastic split clips there, I think. So maybe you take the 3 clips off and then slot this bit out. But there's our mech doing what it should. And I've got to put that little copper bit back in, which I think when the high bit there went over the switch. How does it go? In through that way. High bit over there, I think. Must have been, yeah, and then dropped over the switch. And where did the other end go? Wasn't just onto that thing, was it? Well, that's not going to work. What pushes the switch? Oh, it's that little gold pin behind this. That's where the head screws on, so it's a little pin behind it. Just down there somewhere, if we can get it to line up on it. There we go. And that screw and washer. And then we've got all the pinch rollers and stuff to go. Hopefully that's magnetic. I think it is. With the washer it doesn't seem to be. Small washer. Split washer, springy one. And a tiny little nut. Of course it slipped off. Just really need to start on the thread is the problem. I think we got it. No! There we go. Well, it's sort of... Yeah, there it goes. That switch sometimes delays. Yeah, it's not always working, maybe. Yeah, sometimes it's still missing. Yeah, in the same way as before. So that switch definitely isn't helping, I don't think. Because it was kind of fine till we added that back. Now it's working. And missed. Why would that... We've now got this bracket. Do we need to slide that sideways a little bit or something? Guess that's another possibility. There is a little bit of play. Yeah, I don't think it really moves. It pivots that way. So could it be the angle of that affects? And this is, like I say, the issue with these is there's so many little things seem to get out in them. So it's not just one thing causing issues. You're always going to find there's multiple things. So you wonder whether these mechanisms were just sort of operating on the edge of working from new. I guess being new as they were in the day, they were just learning a bit, and there could just be little bits of play, little bits of wear all through the thing. It's pretty reliable, but yeah, see there it's slipping twice. And again, not, I don't think that switch is, I wonder if even that switch there, could that be having an effect because this switch is a bit worn or lacking lubrication? It's quite possible, I guess. If you push it, it doesn't always do anything. And that's the problem, something's just so... One little bit of friction or something's just not quite long as it used to be. Doesn't move that tiny amount. Got a little bit of play. That's the kind of thing you get. Well, I think we'll try and get the pinch rollers back in and see how this thing goes. Which one do I have to remove first? That was the, oh, we need to lube that up as well. So we've still got the pinch rollers to add. Is going to add a little bit more friction to this thing, no doubt. How did this go? The heads, I think we need to eject it to get these in. And we're going to slide the spring in with the dog leg bit down. And the spring, I think, back against the metalwork there. Yeah, that must be it. And this is where it gets a bit messy because we've got to get several things back together. I wonder if we can use a screwdriver or something. Even that little screwdriver is probably perfect. Get everything together like so. And set it on top of the shaft. And slide that down. How did that get in front of that head? Maybe I should I take the head off after. Let's get around, try and get around this head bracket. There we are. I'll get under that. And I've got to find the other part of the spring's completely in the wrong place. Of course. That was the bit that was worrying me a bit, is how do I get this spring? So much for that idea, but making it easy. I've got to get the spring sprung. Okay, so we've got to get that in there. I think the main thing I forgot to do is bring that around. But how do we do that? Well, we drop down. Well, even if I'm just on that side of the motor, is that enough? It probably is. As long as it can't get right around. But now I've got the problem with that head being a bit of a pain. Yeah, that's it. Push that back. Get past that. Grab our spring. Well, trying to get this down the shaft. On you go. Like that. Get this spring in. Where is it? I can't actually see what I'm doing. Behind that bit of metal. The spring's sitting at the top, which is not where I want it. Push the spring down further. I think that was basically how it went. And then this other one, basically the reverse. Now we're right over here. At least this one's a little easier for the spring because we can keep it out in the open since we don't have all the electronics and stuff in the way. This head is really annoying. Probably should have left it off. Didn't realise it was going to get in the way of the pinch rollers. That swung around there, and that's it, I think. Let's see when we bring that in. Yeah, one's engaged, and if we swap it, the other one's engaged. When it works, see, I said the pinch rollers will probably add another layer of mess to this. Well, that one's completely stuffed it. Hey, son of a gun. Yeah, we still need that, still that little lacquer play there. Maybe the key is to, seems to be to really bang that thing Or not. Oh, now we've got both of them engaged. What? Yeah, it's not the most... Now we've stopped all together. Not the most reliable, and this was the issue with them. Now, one thing I probably should have done is lubricate that pinch roller. That one, the spring's a bit high on. Let's try pushing that spring down the bottom. I don't think that should be sitting at the top. I don't know if it'll make much difference, but yeah, it's pretty unreliable now. Still got the issue of this thing is not clicking across reliably. Maybe that spring needed bending a bit more tension on it. And that's what you just end up doing, is trying to bend things and stuff to just try and make it work. And I should have really lubed that one a bit because it was a bit corroded. I think most of that's scraped off now, but pliers and magnetic doesn't help. Yeah, sometimes works really well and then just, yeah, stops. And sometimes it works absolutely perfectly fine. Oh, well, we can only really try it under its own power. Might even put this cover back on to keep everything in place. Oh, we've got to tighten up one of the screws I loosened, which was between Mac and board there. Yeah, that went like so, and I think the rest just hold the front panel on. See if this thing still operates. Power on. Don't know if I should really put a cassette in, probably not. Running. Change direction. That thing is definitely making a weird noise. Well, it's certainly more reliable than before, because it barely worked at all. Well, amazingly, when it's back together, it's actually quite reliable. In fact, I don't think I've made it play up yet. Don't know how hot these solenoids get. Might heat them up or whatever switches them. Yeah, it's a bit of a bendy, weird design, but they were, like I say, definitely early cassette mix. And 73 is definitely early. And I don't think many of these things really lasted beyond about 10 years. Maybe they just got replaced with something better, like a combined unit, because these were sort of added under the dash quite often. Though early cars were not made to... They didn't have standard DIN mounting units or anything. You actually had to cut the plastic out of the dash or something around the old radio, which had a bit of the dash moulded to it. So there was no thought about aftermarket stuff in those days. So sometimes you just disconnect the old AM radio altogether and just mount this under the dash somewhere, usually down under the steering wheel sort of thing near your leg there. It was a good convenient place to get to it. At least you could hit the controls and stuff. Auto reverse, of course, good because you didn't have to eject tapes and stuff mid-driving. You just let it do its own thing. That's never like these. You always seem to have to push them really hard, but I think a lot of them are like that from new. To get the eject to work, of course, if it's bolted onto a car, it's a lot easier than doing it on the bench here. Yeah, that actually is working pretty well. Probably a lot more work than it was worth, but this is, like I say, more of a novelty thing. It's interesting to actually analyse one of these mechs now that I know a lot more about them. And surprisingly, the motor in it actually sounded like it was fairly good. I'm sure it doesn't have the best wow figures on earth. I might just see if I can clean this thing a little better. Okay, giving it a bit of a clean up. It's a bit more chromy again now. Not looking too bad. Had to use a bit of polish to take, there was quite a bit of corrosion on there, little green spots on this plastic. There's still a few bits somewhere there were, a few under there I think, and no, I've got rid of most of it. Yeah, a few spotty little marks under there. But looks a bit more like its former glory now. So I'll just give it maybe one last run. It hasn't been run for a couple of days. And I've disconnected all the audio, that's handy. Looks perfectly clean, but I'll give it a clean anyway. Not sure which one of these is the proper azimuth, if either of them is. That one seems to make a difference, but how exactly... I suspect this other thing we can adjust it slightly to swing it in and out. Yeah, like that. Well, let's leave that loose. Yeah, not perfect sounding, but not bad. I mean, the head shows no signs of wear. Possibly this is a lower hours one. Head really looks like new. So it sounds a lot better than most I've heard. Still not the greatest thing on earth, but it is cassette after all. But yeah, normally you'd expect a bit of a groove worn through the head, because a lot of people used to just play them all the time they're driving their car pretty much. And quite a loud amp in this, but you need that because especially 70s cars were not very well insulated or anything, very noisy, lots of wind noise just from the design of the outside of the car, plus no insulation in them. But yeah, that's all sort of going by the look of it. And it seems to auto reverse fine now. I guess I might as well put the lid back on it and see what it looked like. Okay, do a bit of a clean as well. But that's the unit, a little bit nicer looking, Shame the knobs are missing, but that's not a great deal. Did this thing actually have a model number on it? Oh, HC6010. Car cassette stereo. Use only short screws. A lot of them said that, so you don't... Well, that only one there I can see has actually got some metal behind it. You don't want to bend the inside or break a circuit board or something, which was always possible with people putting long screws in the car stereos. Yeah, shone up a bit better than I expected. And really wants this bit of aluminium. They're such a pain when they lift off like that, because it's very hard to glue them back down again without trying to peel them up. And if you try and peel it up, you'll probably break it. So that's bulging there. And you need some knobs. They're rather faded away or worn away. It does have a nice quick fast forward in this one. Some of them are rather slow. This thing whips along quite nicely, so this mech's definitely good from that point of view. Maybe because it's got those big idlers running off the capstans or something underneath. Can't remember if they were straight off the capstans or what. I didn't actually take much notice. Have to look back in the video, I guess. Just a bit of a trip down memory lane for something different. And I didn't think I'd ever touch one of these things again. But this one, kind of interesting to work on. And I'm still not even 100% sure what we did to actually fix it. But I think it was possibly lubing up around that solenoid and stuff, so I could have done that without pulling the whole thing to bits. But interesting to have a look at how the mech worked. And you really couldn't have worked out what to lube if you hadn't pulled it apart, I guess. Yeah, quite a good little unit. Actually, it does need a little bit more cleaning there. It's got quite a bit of greasy stuff on it. And yeah, I'm not sure what the output specs are. I doubt I can find anything on this anywhere. I did look in the 73 Dick Smith catalogue just out of interest, and they had some Clarions. I think it was about $140 for an auto reverse with radio built in. So this thing probably would have been more like $100, which doesn't sound that much now, but back in 73 that was quite a bit of money. And especially when it comes to having disposable money lying around. But I guess if you're driving a truck or a taxi or something all day, it would have been worth your time if you didn't like listening to the radio. Well, taxi probably couldn't really play too much music, I guess, but a truckie or something, this would have been awesome. So a bit of a very retro technology going on the 50 years old. So it's doing pretty well, and like I say, I lucked it out with this one. It's actually not all worn out, and even the head seemed good in it. But what on earth do I do with it now? No idea. It's the sort of thing you need to strap or find some little silver knobs to match and strap it under the dash of your old 70s car or something, just as a display piece is about all it's good for probably. But I don't think many people want to mess their old cars up with unoriginal parts. But oh well, bit of fun for something different, so thanks for watching.